We are at our scheduled start time. I know we have quite a bit to go through today, so we're going to go ahead and jump in. Before I turn it over to Daniel, I'd like to just go through a couple quick updates. If you haven't seen any of our solutions before, or in particular document output, wanted to share a couple things with you very quickly. First and foremost, before I forget, my name is Mark Rhodes. And with that, let me go ahead and share my slides and go through the quick background here, and then we'll get to the really good stuff. If you have not looked at our solutions before, we do have three solutions, I should say four, in North America. We have document capture, which is capturing inbound documents, really a process automation tool for invoices, orders, confirmations, basically anything you want to save inside Business Central. We have expense management for employee expenses, both reimbursable, but also corporate credit card charges, and have a very nice process for handling those corporate credit card charges, including basically a one-click reconciliation of those inside BC. And then, of course, document output, which we're going to talk about today. That fourth solution that we just released is our sustainability solution. And stay tuned for certainly more information for that, but that's for ESG compliance and carbon accounting. And we'll be having some updated webinars coming up for that as well. Couple things just to know, really important to understand about how we just really try to save you time. One is that we work through partners, and that's quite different from a lot of add-on solutions, and most in fact. And I'd say I really love this aspect of how we decided to do business. Instead of working with yet another vendor and coordinating with them and having them coordinate with the partner and everything, we take a much more streamlined approach. We work through partners, which means whoever you're already working with for your Business Central or NAV environment, they're the ones that are going to install Continia for you and support you in addition to, of course, Business Central or NAV. So again, much more efficient, much more streamlined, since they already know your environment, makes a lot of sense, and just results in a much better and successful project as well. And part of that is because we are what we say built inside Business Central. And what that means is, well, how it sounds, right? We're going to install inside BC, just adding code and tables. Well, we talk about turbocharging the BC engine. And so for you, again, saving time, same user interface, don't have to wait for data to be passed back and forth or go anyplace else. No integrations means simplicity, and all the time you have real-time information and correct information. So much simpler approach, and of course, you're inside BC the entire time. We're going to talk about document output today, and I like to say it gives you the ability to hyper-personalize those outbound communications to your external stakeholders, customers, vendors, and so forth. We typically hear customers like to use it to send out remittance advices or statements, reminders, confirmations, right, and so forth. And you can set these up to go out on a scheduled basis or based on triggers and really incorporate any data from Business Central. So it really is a very flexible toolkit. Make sure that your customers and vendors are up to date and you're getting timely communications from you. You're going to see a lot of really impressive functionality as we step through today, but like the webinar title said, we really wanted to share with what's new. The solution teams has been very hard at work, continue to expand document output and providing you a lot more capabilities, of course, to improve those stakeholder communications. So with that, great time to turn it over to our global solution specialist for document output, Daniel Stello. Daniel, thank you for coming up with Error. I know it's been a push for the last couple of months. Really appreciate you spending some time to share what's the latest and greatest with document output.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to be here. And thank you all for coming. My name is Daniel Stello, as Mark mentioned, and I'm the global solution specialist for document output. It's my pleasure today to take you through the highlights of what is new in our latest release since our April release. And before we start, I have a few slides that I would like to share with you as well. So document output is essentially an automation tool. Mark already touched on it. We see this as a three-pillar sort of solutions that is used for automation, customization, and handling variants. And it does that built into Business Central. So Business Central documents will be picked up and it will be processed by templates and settings that will allow document output to distribute the exact message and wording or content that you need your recipients to receive. And this could be output such as email or e-invoicing or print. And there's actually no real limit to what type of recipients you want to reach. It could be customers and vendors, which would be the very common ones, but it could be any sort of or any email address that you can fetch from a field within Business Central. And you can add the document output functionality to other extensions that you might run on your Business Central, so that you will reap the benefits from all this automation and customization. So with that, let's go through some of the new stuff that we have added. The first part that I will show you in a minute is our new automatic statement processes. We had automatic statements in the past. It was sort of an 01 version of automatic statements. What we've done now is we have made it much easier to work with and more intuitive to see what is going on and what will happen. We have split up the period statements and the due statements into two separate tables. We've also separated the intervals and the periods, so they're no longer linked to each other. You can have those, you can have different periods of 1 month, and you can have intervals of 2 weeks if you want. And we have also added new ways to define how we want to start the period and end it. So that is not locked to any date formula as we know from the previous version. Next up, we have also added the ability to embed PDF files within XML exports for those of you that use PEPPOL or the PEPPOL network for e-invoicing. We have changed the way we track handled versus unhandled documents. In the past, we used the field printed or number printed on the documents for tracking whether or not it was handled. This turned out not to be fully reliable because other extensions might add a value to the printed field, or even BC standard would do that. And in fact, the case that hastened the development of this new way of tracking handled is what came about because standard was enforcing some rules in certain countries that would add a number printed, which would skew the unhandled filters. So we have changed that, and now we have introduced our own way of tracking and our own fields and extended the documents with it. Next up, we have a small life improvement thing where we can track the log entry from the quote to the order or the invoice if you make an order or invoice directly from a quote. And lastly, we also added the ability to copy template lines. So if you build different variants of your email messaging and you want to save some time entering everything manually, you can now copy and just change the one or change the few bits and bobs that needs to be or that needs to be the variant, or let's say that would set one apart from the other. And you won't need to do all the common parts over for each variant. And then last one is not really a new feature. It's the merge field structure that we have added, or that we added to the HTML template in April. That has now also been extended to be available for building the merge signatures. But with that, I'm ready to go into the app and show you a little bit about the news and how it looks and how to set things up. So let's start up with the new statements settings. In the event that it's a new installation, the new statement functionality will be enabled from the start. If it's an upgrade, you would have to enable the new functionality, and that is done in the Continia feature management. So it's a question of a simple check mark that we set here, and this will set the new automatic statement functionality. And it will also put you or take you through a batch job that will convert the old statement settings into the new regime if you already have some. But let's take a look at this from a customer card perspective. So on the customer card, we have a small change in the fact box here, and it's we now have the automatic documents field, and this is where we fill in the code that we need to, or the statement code that we want to apply to this particular customer, and it's built up in a way so that we combine the period settings and the due date settings in whichever way we want. So say we have this one and we would like to add a due date statement. There is nothing in there currently, but there is probably one set up already. We could set up a new one and add one for, let's say, a 5-day buffer. And let's just quickly apply the template as well. So now we have a combination of a period statement and a due date statement. And we can also add additional period statements. And these, or this is the place where we will see the most changes in comparison to the old version. The first off, the code is the same and you set them as you wish, but the send if statement is where we see the latest, or sorry, this is also inherited from the old, but the period start type date is where we see a new addition, and that is the option to start the period based on the first open entry date, so that we no longer lock it to a date formula, such as with this one here, which is a profile that includes all entries, where you can also set the period end date for a last entry date, so the last entry date for this particular customer, or last open entry. But you could also set it for closing the period based on the last bank posting date, so as to not include documents that might be pending because the payment is still in process. So these two are new settings that we can set. The date formula is the same, except from the fact that in this column it's only for the period. So now these two are separated. So you can set a fixed date formula as we do here for 1 month for the period. And we can also set the start date of the period. So if we set nothing, it will just be from the beginning first day of the month to the last day of the month. But we could also go from, let's say, the 5th day of the month until the 4th day of the following month. And that will then be the period set. So as mentioned, we can separate the interval so that we could actually set this to send at a different interval than once a month, but we could set it to 14 days if that's the case. And that is set here. And we can also define which day of the month we want the interval to start, and we can even go into weekdays and set whether or not we want to set it on a specific weekday, or let's say on Monday, the first Monday in the month, we can set it here by setting so the first day, so the first coming day or the first coming Monday after that. So these are also new settings. These checkboxes are the same, inherited from the old. The statement template is still added here for each of them. That is also inherited from the old. The output form, the same. Here you decide whether to whether you want to save the statement in a journal and then send it manually later on, or if you want to have it sent out automatically by email by the job that runs in the background. Another addition is this description field, which is interactive. What it does, it will show the function of the settings that you've set. For this line, it will then spell out that it is sending statements the first Monday on or after the first day in the month, every month, and that it has a set for if a customer has a balance. Let me just see if I can get it all on the screen. There we go. If customer has balance and the period is 1 month, and this will change each time you change any of the settings. So some of the confusions around the old system in order to sort of decipher what the code will do or what the settings will actually do, that is made a lot easier to see straight away right here. Plus, it also sets a expected send date for the next date that it will send a statement. So these are the two statements that we've chosen for the profile default. We could set up others here with different combinations of period statement and due date statements, all in accordance to what we need for our customers. But let's stick to this one to begin with. And we will be able here to set the statement to run automatically. So now this customer is set to receive automatic statements on the default profile. Another addition is on the document output customer actions in the fact box. There is a new item under the statement section here called calendar. So this calendar will show the schedule for any future statements that this customer will receive, with a projected date on when it will be sent and how many days will be included. So if, let's say, we go back and we change a setting, we should be able to see that reflected in the calendar straight away. Let me just go here. So let's change this one to Fridays. And we will check whether that reflects in the calendar. Now, I really hope it does, of course. So it will now reflect in the calendar or in the schedule here when that it will now be sent on Fridays, and it will set the dates for when it's sent out. So that is the new statement functionality that has been added. The next part is the XML. I'm not sure how many of you use that, but for those that do, you will now have the option to include the PDF report within the XML file. And in this case, I will show you how to do it on the PEPPOL profiles. So hang on, we need to be here at the output profiles. And for the PEPPOL documents, over here we have a checkbox where we can select that we want to embed the PDF file into the e-document. So let's do that for the sales invoice here. And from now on, the PDF report will be included into the XML file. And this has been a requirement that has been pending for a while, and that's very much needed in certain countries. But now the option is there for you as well. Next up, and this is probably something that you have been in touch with already, and that is how the new way that we track unhandled documents. So the unhandled documents queues now look a little different. It has some additional columns here. And one of them is the one called handled by document output. And this would receive a check mark once the document is marked as handled. Now, the new thing is that it will look to the output profile. So in this case, the output profile assigned to this customer is email. And the settings on the email output profile will have to be met, or all settings will have to be completed before the handled by the DO is checked as checked OK. So an example would be that an invoice needs to be sent both as an email or as an electronic document. If that is in the or in the output profile, both the sent email and the electronic document created will have to be checked before it gets a handled by DO. And you will still be able to track the number printed. If you have upgraded since April, you might well have seen a rather large increase of unhandled documents all of a sudden. And that is because of the filters that have changed from filtering numbers printed to handled by document output. And this, of course, is also a bit misleading because all the older documents have already been sent by document output, but they just never received a handled by document output tag. And this can be done in these batch jobs. So we have a number of batch jobs that you can use for updating existing documents. So what it does is that it will filter all the posted sales documents here with a number printed higher than 0. And we'll see here that it is looking at 193 sales invoices, and that looks all okay. So if I click OK, it will now add a handled by DO value to each of these documents, so they can now be filtered out. And this field can also be used as a filter in your email job. So if you run automated invoicing and you have an email job that has filters that filter for number printed, you can now change that to handled by document output. So the document output log trail or log that we have on customers and documents has now also received an additional life improvement feature that is on the orders. Let me just find a customer here that has an ongoing quote. We have one here. If we open this quote, we will see that we can send it via document output, and it will generate the expected email log over here in the fact box. All right, there we have it. So we now have the log entry here for the quote. And if we later on need to turn this into an order or go directly to invoicing, but it's the same for either way, we can now make this an order. And it will move the log entry from the quote over to the order, and it will mark it. Now, let me just wait for a second. It will mark the entry in italic red so that you will know that it's not a log entry for the order confirmation, but in fact, it's a link to the log entry for the quote that was sent for this order. So if we, let's say, send out an order confirmation, we should now have two, and we do. So we have one that is in the traditional black and straight up, and this is then the order confirmation, and the red italic is the link to the quote from the order. So we now have a log trail from orders or invoices back to the quote if they are made from a quote, and that also is reflected in the log over here in the fact box. All right. Next up is the template functionality that has been added, where we have added a copy function. So for the variations that we would like to build, let's just set one up here for the customer group. So we want to have different messaging, all depending on which customer group the invoice goes to. Instead of entering all the content, the text, and the graphic backgrounds to the PDF, the file naming conventions, we can now copy that from the existing lines, and in this case, just the default one, by clicking this copy line. And what that does is that it prompts you to choose which filter type you want to use for the variants. And now I want to use the dimension, and let's just say I want to make a variant for large customers. So now this new line inherits all the content from the line above, and all that I need to do now is to just make the subtle changes or the few changes that would set them apart. So we can do that in here in the email template editor, and let's just edit large here, save it, and now we have the new variants all set up without the need to either copy paste from somewhere else or to build it all from scratch. We even have all the merge fields set up that pull in data from all over Business Central as master data. And now that we're here, I can just quickly show you the last item on the list, which is the signature buildup, where we can see that we here also have the new way of working with the merge fields and merge. And this is just the same way as it is in regular editor, where we can just and then start. Let's say we want something with sales and salesperson name, and we wherever we want. And this is now also available in the signature building. Through all the items that are new in this release output. Like to invite you all to have a look at it. Any sort of help setting things up, don't be shy and just give a call and be available, or one of my colleagues will at least also be available. Thank you very much.